What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for Your Overwatch. Big news to report today. It seems like it took forever, but the patch is finally live. And along with the balance changes, we also got the addition of the Sinatra-themed MVP and Overwatch League champion, Alien Zarya skin. She's wearing a tuxedo, which sort of has a Men in Black or FBI feel about her. The alien meme obviously comes from a long-time Overwatch community meme, sort of mocking Sinatra, but over time he grew to sort of take ownership of the joke, and now this Zarya skin is the final form of that. This skin is available for purchase through the Overwatch League store in the game client. It will cost 200 Overwatch League tokens, which you either can purchase or you can get back on your token grind by linking your Blizzard account to the Overwatch League website or app and watching live Overwatch League matches through it. Now, going on to the patch notes. Finally, when games get canceled, you'll be placed into a priority queue. I can't believe it took so long to add this, but finally it's here. When a competitive game collapses due to a player leaving early, you're now granted a priority re-queue the next time you queue to play. And there'll be a small icon on the interface to denote this status. They say this normally results in significantly lower wait times in queue. Now, the real question is if they can implement some sort of priority queue for filling or other incentives to try to spread the queue times around a bit. Who knows if that'll ever be an addition. Now, on to the balance changes. Some of them stayed and some of them went from that past experimental card. First up is Echo, whose focusing beam range is reduced from 20 to 16 meters, which will require her to get much closer to the action than she's used to in the past, putting her body on the line in order to finish those targets. The massive buffs to Genji go through, where the damage goes up and the spread on the alternate fire goes down to what I think is a massive degree. Combining with the fact that they buffed its fire rate a while back, now I think he really can burst down some targets, and on top of that, the flex duration got a buff and it can be canceled manually. So his survivability goes up, but also his duel potential to be able to reflect a cooldown and then immediately cancel by pressing the ability again in order to follow up with some of those lethal shurikens. And this, of course, is intended to get him closer in line with characters like Echo and Doomfist, and well, we'll have to see if that's the case. Hanzo's Storm Arrow gets a 10 increase back to where it was originally, which will add some incredibly important breakpoints against squishy characters. 3 shots to the body, 1 body shot, and a headshot will now make Storm Arrows incredibly lethal. This low-key may be the biggest change in the patch, and we'll get into why after we just run through these last couple patch notes. Orisa's Halt has an increased sound effect volume. My assumption is this is intended to allow you to outplay it a bit easier, knowing that it's coming just from sound alone, even if you don't see that it's about to hit you. Kind of a soft nerf. And the last change is to the workshop, where a whole bunch of other options got added. We'll be on the lookout to see if any cool game modes arise from these new settings they keep adding over and over. Now, for the rest of the video, I want to talk a bit about the meta change implications of this new patch going live today. I was able to catch up with my buddy Samito, who of course streams on YouTube, playing a lot of these DPS characters that got changed. These are all up his wheelhouse. So I asked him how he thought that this would end up affecting these characters. He as well said that the Hanzo change is sort of a must in order for his viability, and whereas in the nerf version he had him as a low B tier character, now with the buff he's in high B tier, and I almost wonder if he may go higher than that due to the fact that we are more or less in a spam versus dive meta, where on most maps I think the range damage value is where the key is. Still, we saw some Overwatch League teams attempt to play the Hanzo up against Ashe, who's kind of the superstar character DPS right now, and it may reach a breaking point again, where if you think back multiple patches ago in the previous spam meta that we had before the Rush Brawl meta took over, it was all about Hanzo and Baptiste. And the reason was Hanzo's pickoff capability was just too strong, and it might be to the point now where that arises again, where yes, Ashe has tons of power to deal a lot of damage, but if that damage doesn't result in a kill, Hanzo may be able to edge out with a higher burst potential. Not to mention Recon Arrow is amazing in spam mirrors for setting up your damage angles. So there's a chance he's low-key the biggest winner in this patch, but more specifically, I was surprised to hear Samito's opinion on Genji. I'll give my argument and then let you hear what he had to say. I think the Genji buffs you'll most definitely experience at most levels of play, where the raw power that he has to fight an isolated target is going to feel kind of immense. In the same way that a Doomfist punches you into a wall and feels like there's not much you can do, or Echo dumps a couple cooldowns on you and kills you no matter what, Genji now, I think, does rival that power for most players at most ranks, because the teamwork and game understanding and exploiting some of the top tier picks or counters like Brigitte, for example, aren't quite on the level for most players. And if you're good at him, I think you're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the mid fight until you get shut down and need to start playing the other characters that kind of go over the top with certain damage thresholds that Samito will kind of explain when you're going up against top level Brig play or trying to outmatch the same level of lethality that Echo and Doomfist have.
To me, this is quality of life to his kit, and it's not that impactful. We're talking about a F tier hero going to maybe at best low C tier. At the end of the day, you have to look at the heroes that he's competing with, right? Like, for example, when I talked about, GOATs needing to go away, I said Brig is taking the flex DPS role, and she just has more to offer than any of the flex DPS heroes, in that position, right? In this case, what is Genji going to offer to a fight that's better than Doomfist or Echo? The reality is he still does not have any mid-fight high impact tide turning abilities that are very consistent, comparable to Doomfist Punch or Sticky Bomb Focus Beam combo, right? Like, the reality is it's good quality of life for Genji, but this is not going to be so impactful that he's going to be able to play well against Brigitte, right? Which the reality is Genji won't come back until a lot of his indirect counters get toned down or looked at again, or the spot that he's competing for just can't offer as much value. Like Doomfist cooldown is on a 4-second, Doomfist Punch is on a 4-second cooldown. It has the ability to one-shot, CC, and be used for more mobility than Genji Dash, which does less damage. He has a bigger hitbox, doesn't generate shield from it, and it's on double the cooldown. Like, you can't compete with that. And I'm pretty sure Doomfist left clicks damage is comparable to Genji Shurikens on a faster fire rate. So if you just look at what he's competing for, it's just hard to say that this hero will be able to compete, which is why I still have him at low C tier. I really do hope that Genji's abilities don't remain outdated, if that's the right word, in terms of modern day Overwatch. I think a great time to change all this, to quote Jeff Kaplan, they want to redesign what a sequel is Overwatch 2. We could see complete character semi-redesigns, I guess is the right word for that, which would be really interesting to kind of make a lot of these older characters more in tune with the modern day Overwatch, which I don't think anyone can argue is way different.
This modern Overwatch phrase is one that I like to bring up quite often when I talk about the game, because what it implies is that the game is in a much more complicated state than it ever has been before. At launch, Genji being able to dash reset was a pretty massive MOBA-esque type ability to let him snowball through a fight, but now we have Echo focusing beam, which is also very similar to abilities in MOBA games, being able to really burst through anything that would normally save a target to guarantee them to go down. And I think Sam makes good points here, but my only counter argument is I've been studying a lot of Overwatch League recently, and a lot of these teams have been trying to use the nerfed version of Genji up against many of the very static comps that are pretty meta. The mobility still can find advantages there, but that also is in pools where certain characters are banned out, so maybe that doesn't help my argument very much. If Echo or Brigitte's banned out of the pool, well, then maybe we can have a conversation about Genji, which is kind of interesting how this is playing out and why I've always been such a high advocate for bans to begin with, because perhaps Genji is in this place where he's power crept by the game around him and his tools simply aren't as good. However, I do think he has a better ultimate than either Echo or Doomfist. Nanoblades are incredibly difficult to deal with when they're executed properly, and when Genji can farm his ult a bit faster, as well as sort of emulate the mid-fight strength that Doomfist or Echo have, I am going to stay a bit higher on Genji than Samito is, but we'll have to all get more playtime on the patch to really solidify the state of the game. Where Samito is coming from and what is the biggest talk of the town at high level gameplay right now is the power that Brigitte's armor pack has to enable DPS or squishies to stay alive in the mid fight, and then rally is just insane in the ult fight. It even slows down Nanoblade quite a bit if you time it right, when it probably shouldn't, combined with the stun and flail CC that she has anyway. So because of that, Brigitte is a big gatekeeper at the higher levels of play, and Blizzard's received a ton of feedback about her, so I would be shocked shocked if Brigitte doesn't get some kind of rework again due to how much impact she's having on the metagame. Because when we talk about modern day Overwatch abilities that have insane peak potential like Finishing Beam or Doomfist cooldowns that have very high impact, whereas Genji maybe needs more work to get the same level of impact, the cause to need that level of big cooldown commitment is the amount of defenses in the game, particularly Brig, who's giving overheal to everything. If Genji only has to burst through normal healing abilities, it's a lot easier, especially when you combine with like a Winston bubble, blocking line of sight of Ana heals, Genji isolates a target. He does that better and easier than Doomfist and Echo do, but because a lot of that counterplay doesn't exist up against Brig, a lot of times he ends up fighting an armor-packed target anyway, and if you have to be doing that, you either want a character that can run away easier in Tracer, or commits with a higher value finishing type cooldown that just gets pickoffs on its own, like Finishing Beam or Doomfist Punch. So we'll be monitoring that. It'll be interesting to see your guys' opinions on this in the comment section down below. And by the way, be sure to check out Samito's live stream on YouTube. He plays a lot of these characters, so if you're interested in seeing how they're panning out at a high level, head over to his YouTube to either watch his stream or videos. I think he's a great player to learn from how to adapt to the chaos of ranked. With the patch coming out, let me know if Genji is terrorizing your ranked games, or if he still feels like he's not that good and pretty easy to counter. Let us know in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell icon to actually get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been Frito for your Overwatch. We'll see you guys next time.